Hello, my name is Marcia Johnson. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Together with my grandnieces and nephew, Allie, Ashley, and Ryan, my technical advisors, we are Marcia's Crafts. This is our first video, the first of many we hope, so let's get started. Today we're going to make this card using the Touches of Texture stamp set. This is the Touches of Texture stamp set. We'll be using the splatter, the stem and leaf, this lacy pattern, the small flower, and the large flower. Okay, for your cardstock, you will need Pear Pizzaz 5.5 by 8.5. Scored and folded at 4 1/4. You'll need another piece of Pear Pizzaz 2.5 by 4 1/4. You'll need some very vanilla cardstock 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/4 by 4, and 2 1/4 by 4, and a piece of Calypso Coral 3 by 5, and an envelope. You will also need some Calypso Coral ribbon, probably about, I don't know, 10 inches or so. If you don't have Calypso Coral ribbon, you can easily make your own by taking an acrylic block or a plate or anything like that. Take your stamp pad, put a little on your acrylic plate, add a little bit of water, mix it up. I just use a brush for this, and take your ribbon and just brush the color on. Calypso Coral ribbon. We can't all have every color of ribbon, so I find this technique to be very handy when I need ribbon, a color which I don't have. Okay, the other things you may need, well, you will need, are either a scissors or a distressing tool, an ink dauber or a sponge. You might need a Pear Pizzaz marker. I have a Daffodil Delight marker, which you will need, or any yellow marker or a colored pencil will do. You'll also need a blender pen, and it's nice to have a bone folder. Okay, the colors of ink that we'll be using are Sahana Sand, Calypso Coral, and Pear Pizzaz. We'll be using the Sahana Sand first. Let's get started with our card. Let's fold the card base. Bone folder makes this very easy. Just set it aside. Then I'm going to take our envelope and our Whisper White pieces. Not Whisper White, I'm sorry, very vanilla pieces. Okay, I've distressed most of my pieces, as you can tell, to save time, but I'm going to do the small, very vanilla piece with you. And you can just take a scissors, open it up, and scruff up the side to distress it, but I actually prefer the Tim Holtz distress tool. because it's easier and because I love Tim Holtz. So there we go. Just stress up the sides here, scruff them up. I'm also going to just tear a little bit of my cardstock down here. To make it easier, you can put a little water on it, but I just tear it towards me. There we go. Open up our Sahana Sand. Take your dauber or your sponge and ink the edges. Okay, then we're going to do some background stamping. First, I'm going to use our largest piece here. And I'm going to take that lacy design, ink it up, stamp it off, and then stamp on. Go all the way up the card. Okay, I'm going to take the inside piece and just partially do it. And then the envelope, and kind of do the same thing. Okay. And then for the other very vanilla piece, I'm going to use the splatter stamp. Do the same thing. Stamp off and then stamp on. There. Okay, that should do it for the Sahana Sand. Next, let's take our Calypso Coral. And on our small piece, we'll use the large flower. Just stamp kind of the center top. Good. And then for the inside, we're going to use the small flower. And for the envelope, the small flower. Okay, next we're going to set the Calypso Coral aside for a moment. Bring in the Pear Pizzaz and the leaves and stem. Ink that up. And on the little one, kind of try to get it close close to the flower at the top as you can. Stamp. And then the envelope, same thing. You can see I didn't quite make it all the way to the top, so I'm going to take my Pear Pizzaz pen and just bring that stem up to where it ought to be. I don't suppose anybody'd notice, except me. Then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight marker and color in the center of the flower. There. Same thing with the little flowers. Okay, now I'm going to bring back my Pear Pizzaz ink, squish it in the middle, open it up, and there's ink in the cover. That's what we're going to use. Now, not too much, but you just take your blender pen, get a little bit of color on it, not very much at all, doesn't take much, and then just fill in the leaves. Do the same thing for the others. And then when you're finished with your using your blender pen with this color, just wipe it on the paper until it runs clear, and that's all you have to do. Let's take our Calypso Coral, do the same thing, smush the top. So there's a little ink in there. And don't take much, just a little bit, and just color these petals. Don't want to use too much because you don't want, this isn't watercolor paper, and you don't want your paper to pill. So just a little hint of color. And the big one, I like to have it darker towards the middle and then kind of fade out. But again, not too much because you don't want your paper to pill. And again, clean your pen. let's assemble our card. I'm going to use wet glue. You can use fast fuse, snail, whatever, but I like the wet glue because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Oops. If you're going to mail your cards, the wet glue also stays together really well. Okay, let's put the inside the card. Okay, I like to tilt this part. Oh, actually, I like to tilt it this way, towards the right. And this panel I like to tilt a little towards the left. Okay, and then we'll put our ribbon around it. For this, I usually just use Scotch tape, but you can use whatever you want. I like to put it right about there. So take one side, wrap it around, tape it, and then make sure it's straight. Looks pretty good. Actually, now we can put this on the front of the card base. Take your other piece of ribbon and put it through and just tie a knot. And then I like to cut my ends off at an angle. And the last thing we need to do is put on our pearls. Here's the third one in the middle. And there you are, a quick and easy card that I think is very pretty and uses 3 stamp pads, 1 stamp set, and a few other things, but is very easy to make. And if you would like to buy any of these things, please visit me at marciascrafts.stampinup.net. Thank you. Bye for now.